God, I really feel sorry for Priya Sam. She really had no idea. Hi friends, it is Sam and welcome to the Ace Episodes, a series all about asexuality. Now, occasionally I will rifle through my drawer and I will come across my journal. This is the book I write my feelings in when I'm feeling especially angry or upset. And I actually looked through it last night and I found something quite interesting. This is an entry in my diary from the 16th of January 2018, so almost 2 years ago. And this was Sam pre-ace. I had no idea I was asexual. I barely even knew the word and what it meant, and I was in a very confused place. I'd been single for about 4 months by this point, having been dumped from one of my longest and most intense relationships, and I wanted to get back in the dating pool. I do have a sexuality/dating history video in this series, so I will put it in the cards and in the description if you want details on those experiences. But this was basically the last person I dated before I realised I was asexual. I met him on Tinder, he was very nice, and we'd been on a grand total of 2 dates by this point. The first one in Weston at a little cafe with a resident cat, it was adorable. And the second one was to see Star Wars, and we got a coffee beforehand. And it all seemed to be going very smoothly. Like, we were already at the kissing, hand-holding, and having to touch each other all the time stage, which was very confusing to me, but I just went with it because I still didn't really know how relationships worked, and I thought it was just easier if I let him take the lead. But alas, as we know, it didn't quite sit right with me. It didn't feel right, it didn't feel natural, and I wanted to know what was wrong with me. So, in comes the journal. We've got for dating and against dating. Note that I didn't put his name in particular. I meant dating in general, so part of me knew that dating in general I wasn't quite ready or in the mindset for. Something was happening in my brain that was going to trigger a realisation later that year. But yeah, let's have a look at pre-ace Sam's list of pros and cons for dating before she realised she was a romantic asexual. Pro number 1, he's nice and he likes you. He was very nice, and he made it very clear that he liked me. He always reached for me when we weren't touching, and he knew that I liked going all the way around the roundabout in his car, so he'd do that for me, and that was really sweet, and he was very nice. Con number 1, are you ready for a relationship? Now clearly I wasn't. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was just letting him do what he wanted because I didn't know how to initiate relationships, and I thought the more physical we were, no matter how uncomfortable I was, the quicker I would be at becoming comfortable. Pro number 2, someone you're not related to who makes you laugh. Now this is way too real because throughout my life, friends and relationships have come and gone, but my core family have always been there, and I've always been completely myself with them. Mainly Jess, who is my sister and my best friend, but with the exception of one friend, I have never been able to keep friends or relationships. So that was a big pro for me because I felt quite pathetic at that point. Con number 2, distance. He lived in Weston-super-Mare, which is a 25-minute drive/train ride from my house. which isn't that big of a distance, but at the time I couldn't drive. So it felt like a massive distance for me as a pedestrian / public transport user, and it felt expensive, even though I know public transport is not expensive now. Car owning is so expensive. So expensive. But now distance wouldn't be a huge issue for me, and he had a car anyway, and he was more than willing to come to Bristol. So that was another excuse sort of con. Pro number 3, you can't be a shut-in forever. Another one that's way too real, because I love being at home. I love being by myself and sewing and filming and editing and writing and playing the PlayStation and watching She-Ra, and I'm not really one for socialising. So that was another way to force myself out of the house, which, okay, might have been healthy for me, but a relationship itself may not have been. Con number 3, expensive. True. Even though public transport itself isn't the expensive part, buying food, paying for the cinema, buying coffee, even though I still do that because coffee's amazing. Just dates are expensive, and if, like me, you firmly believe in equality and paying for yourself, that is an issue. Pro number 4, your first date was pretty much perfect. Which is very true. We went to the Western amusements and we went on the pier, we went on the rides on the pier, we went on the 2p machines. We won lots of crap on the 2p machines that I thought at the time, like, we can treasure this. On our anniversary, we can just go through a little treasure box of things we've won in the 2p machine. It'd be so romantic. I know, date 1, Sam, mad. After that, we went back to his and we watched a comedy show and there was cuddles, which, again, it felt a bit soon for, but I let it happen because I thought it was a normal thing. Which I guess is a normal thing if you're allosexual or alloromantic, but not for Sam. Con number 4, you don't really care. It's true. I didn't really care whether he cancelled or not, or if I saw him, because at the end of the day, I enjoy being at home on my own. Pro number 5, you're scared of being pathetic and alone forever. Sam, I need to talk to you right now. Let's be real. Alone and pathetic are not the same things. Alone is a frightening concept. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be lonely. You can be single for the rest of your life, but Jess is going to be there for the rest of your life as your sister and your best friend. Mum's going to be there for a very long time. The rest of your family's going to be there for a very long time. You have a best friend who's going to be there for a very long time. You might be alone forever, but you're not going to be lonely forever. And pathetic is a bit harsh. It's not a nice thing to call yourself. And just because you're single and you like spending time at home, it doesn't make you pathetic. Con number 5, I'm not sure what I want. See, I knew that relationships weren't the right fit for me, and eventually I found that out with the help of this pro and con list. Next pro, you have everything in common, which is true. We liked Disney, we liked Star Wars, we liked games, we liked comedy. We just agreed on a whole lot of things and we enjoyed a whole lot of the same things, and I like when I can like the same thing as a person that I'm interested in, because that means that conversation won't be awkward or stall. Next con, no free days, which is absolutely ridiculous. Just because I spent my last relationship sort of floating between my ex and Jess, it didn't mean that I'd be spending all my time with this guy, especially because he lived in Weston. I'd probably end up seeing him like every weekend or whatever. Next pro is that he's a borderline vegan. Now, this guy was a vegetarian and he worked in a cheese factory, so it's understandable that he found going completely vegan really difficult, but it really cheered me that if we were to eat meals together, he would be completely up for eating vegan food and completely up for even becoming vegan in future. He even mentioned that he was thinking about taking on a vegan lifestyle, and I found that very attractive. Next con, he's super into kissing you and sometimes you just don't want to. Pretty self-explanatory. Aromantics don't like being kissed. Particularly, some asexuals like kissing, but most aros are not into it. The final pro. Never dumped anyone before and I'm scared / unsure how. So I was literally thinking of staying with this guy because I was scared to dump him. That's a bit cruel, Sam. Let's be honest. No one wants to be that person. No one wants to be the person who's stayed with because their other half doesn't want to be with them but is too chicken to tell them so. And the final con is likes being pathetic and alone. So yeah, that was my little argument with myself. Before I had a label for the lack of sexual attraction and romantic attraction for this poor guy that I was dating. I do have another entry from a few days later. There's a little bit about ending it with him. It says, I'm still struggling to find joy in much, but at least I'm trying. And it also sucks that I ended things with dude, though I stand by my decision. It was definitely the right one. That's pretty much the only part about him in this entry. But yeah, it did really upset me that I had to upset him, but it was the right move. He's living life still. I still follow him on Instagram and he takes great pictures and he seems to be happy, so it's a win-win and no one got really hurt in the long run. The moral of the story is if you don't feel right in your relationship, maybe write a pros and cons list, and then if you realise there are quite a lot of cons, you should probably end it before people do get hurt. And if you are questioning whether or not you feel like you want to be in a relationship, maybe you could be aromantic or asexual. And guess what? That doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time with another video. Bye!